right, we are now freaking live. And we're gonna invite some people to join. Let me see. Hold please. Here we go. Hold on. Leopold, yep. Here we go. Oh, hey.
Hi.
Sorry. Time collapsed on me today. Today I'm having, man. Today I'm having. Woo! All right, let me get Leopold in here.
I don't think he's coming.
Yeah, he sent an email. He's not going to be able to come.
Oh, he did? I know I saw the one earlier, and then I was like, no, Eastern Standard Time. Sorry. Hold on, let me get back here. Oops. Okay. I do not see you. Brita, are you?
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
Do you see her, Collette? I don't see her.
I see her. Yep.
Okay.
I was like, I see me.
Oh,
You see me?
You coming in and out, Brita.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me check. I'm going to turn my camera off a minute. Let me check my internet.
Okay.
Okay. Because I just see Collette.
Actually, your connection is a little blurry too, Annette.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let me do one more plug in. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can try it that way. Yeah, I did. I saw Leopold's email. Is that better?
No.
No, it's still blurry?
Yeah, it's blurry.
About for me.
Brita, can you see Annette blurry, or is she clear for you?
Yeah, she's blurry.
Oh,
Am I blurry?
That's better now.
Is
what
it?
about mine?
Yeah.
Is she okay? I can't see her at all. I don't know why.
I can see her.
Okay.
You can hear me, though.
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me check. I'm going to go on and just check my, see what it looks like. So, yeah, I saw Leopold saying this morning, and I was like, no, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. I should have been clearer.
Yeah. I think in your email.
And then I didn't see his response, though. I've been running around all morning, so I didn't get a chance to look at what he said after.
He said, sorry, I am foggy groggy, putting my potatoes in the freezer, forgetting my phone number, feeling drunk, but loving it.
Yeah, I can tell you, I feel very similarly. Because with all the classes and then with all the monthly calls, it's a lot.
It is.
It is really, really a lot. I haven't even gotten through one of the last ones because I just felt so whacked out. I hadn't even gotten through it. So let me see. Guess we're okay.
Were you guys feeling that? It was probably around 5 or 6.
And then with all the
my time last night, it was like, I think I looked later. There was a solar storm. I can't remember. There was someone else posted, and I was like, oh, what's going on? I was just so out of it. Like I couldn't even, I just couldn't even move. I was like on the couch, like I have all these things to do.
I know.
Like
it's rough.
Nope.
It is. It's been a lot. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about that. I don't know if I told this story, but before, but I know I've told it on my channel a lot of times about going to years ago. I remember going to a doctor, and they said during this time of year they had to carry tissues around because no matter where they went, no matter what patient they went to see, everyone was crying at Christmas, whether it's because they had to see their family or they didn't have any family. She said it didn't matter. Everyone's bawling. She said, I just have tissues with me. And this has got over a decade ago. She said, no matter where I go, I might as well just have tissues with me because everyone is in a tizzy, no matter where they are, I know for Ascension, blood family is a big one for a lot of us. Trying to kind of resolve a lot of that stuff with blood family, and maybe starting to understand that they can be blood family, but not essentially soul family or part of your Ascension group. In a way, I guess they are part of your Ascension group in a sense. We all kind of came here together, so everyone's technically a twin and a soulmate anyway. But everyone starts to, even though we try not to separate off, but in a way we do start to kind of separate people off, to categorize them, I think, a little bit, so we understand it about where everyone kind of falls for us. So I thought maybe today, unless you guys want to bring anything else forth, and I'm perfectly open to anything you guys want to talk about, we can maybe go into the topics of doing too much, and knowing when you've done too much, knowing when you're kind of at your limit as far as integration and needing maybe a break, and blood family, soul family, and if you guys feel the need to separate people off or move people around to kind of have a better understanding of the contracts or agreements you have with them. So either one of you can start. Like, see, Brita, I checked, and I can see you when I'm on the channel, so you're good, but I can't see you. So,
Okay.
and I do not know why. I don't know. Instagram might have changed their interface, and I got to push something else to see everybody. I don't know. But I'm afraid to push anything.
Maybe it's just because I'm in such a high dimension right now.
Maybe it is. I can't see you. I'm like, where are you? Like I said, I checked, and you're there, but I don't see you. It was like, maybe I have to push something new, and I'm kind of afraid to do that because I'm afraid to lose everybody. So I'm not going to mess with it. I know you're there, so if you want to go ahead and go, and then Collette and y'all can take it in whatever direction you want to take it in.
So this is perfect because my parents left to go see my siblings for Thanksgiving, and they come back later today. And it's living and going through our ascension journey, and we're living with other people, assisting other people, being these support roles, right?
Yeah.
It's like I have this opportunity to be home 5 days alone, yet it's it's over a holiday, and it's like I go through, and I chose to stay home because I just needed that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go through a little bit of sadness and grieving, to not be doing the being at the holiday event, yet it's just what it's just a must. It's like I have to have that time. Yeah. My nervous system just needs to have time. I mean, I didn't even leave. I went to the beach. I took him to the airport Thanksgiving morning. We had a nice Thanksgiving on Wednesday together, the three of us. I cooked, and so it was perfect, right? It's like, why does Thanksgiving need to be on a certain day, right? And so I took them to the airport Thursday, and then I went to the beach, which was amazing. And I came home, and I didn't leave the house till yesterday to do some errands and go to the park. Yeah. Because I just needed to just be at home and just surround myself with, everything I needed to nurture myself. And yeah, as I said, went through some grieving, and went through a little bit of, I'd say I'd say one of my ego programs I'm still working through, and because I had this for many years, was a little bit of apathy. So I noticed there was sometimes I didn't have, and of course not being able to maybe tell if it was quite apathy or, well, I guess, and some contraction. I wasn't in an expanded state. I was maybe in a little more contraction. So, but I just honored that, and I did some cooking and baking and just some things I really love, and spent time outside with the cat, and worked on some projects and things, and it was really nourishing. And then I found myself by yesterday morning just being, I had a call to do. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of more in a little bit kind of in some more like momentum, like moving forward. But I just needed that time, and to have to, graciously say, no to to the family at this time, because this is what I need, is tough. It's tough.
Do you
but
still feel there's guilt there? Do you think there's some guilt there?
Oh yeah.
Because I don't participate in any of it. I don't do Thanksgiving. I don't do Christmas. I completely remove myself from all of it. Now, I don't have children. I don't have I don't have a husband or any of that kind of stuff. So it's just, parents and one sibling, and they're pretty happy just kind of doing their own thing. And my parents, I mean, for a while they don't like it, but after a while it's just like they kind of understand. I don't care about it. Yeah. If that makes sense. It doesn't mean anything to me. If I don't talk to someone all year, I don't give a shit about talking to you at Christmas. I don't, and that's how I feel about everything now. If I don't have a relationship with people the other 364 days out of the year, what difference is one day? I think you start to really value your relationships more and see the ones that, even if it is blood family, you still see the ones that are more just obligation, when you really, there's no depth to them. Maybe that's the word. There's no depth. There's no depth to these relationships anymore. So go ahead, Collette. Go ahead.
It's a little bit, and I mean, this was like kind of life in Los Angeles. I mean, it was just it's always just very go with, a big family and lots of activities and things like that. It's like, that's just, it's not where I'm at. So yeah, working through the feelings around it still. I'm okay with that. So.
Yeah, for me, it's been just really going inside and filling my own cup up, It's all been about, not being able to share and give from an empty cup. And, I'm a full-time carer for my husband, as you guys know, and just not beating myself up. And if I don't get to do something the way it's expected, tradition, just not beating myself up about it, not feeling guilty about doing that, and just shifting. I've noticed, like, everybody during this time is so busy and splitting off here and splitting off there. And for me, it's just been more about going inside, staying centered, and just not participating in all the craziness, for what? Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
I think it's interesting when you said splitting off, because I never really thought about it in that context of what I used to do, and probably when I would still try to participate, even through my awakening and in some parts of my ascension, because I still felt the guilt to go, and to kind of be part of it, to try to have some kind of footing still in the human world, because I think for a while it is hard to transition 100% over, because you don't know what's really over there, and it's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? So you're like, well, it's kind of miserable over here, but we're all huddled up together, so at least it's not so bad. And then when you start kind of pulling away and people don't understand, and you're the weird one because you don't want to do any of it, or you just don't really have any, it's no value assigned to it anymore. It doesn't really, it's a very human kind of stuff, even though, the holidays get into more religion kind of undertones too. But you kind of break off from that too. And there's just no kinship to it. There's just so much, I think that's perfect. Separation. There's so much separation to it.
Yeah.
And you see so many people, I remember when I used to work, it's about a decade ago now, like in the corporate world and stuff, and the Christmas parties, and you didn't want to go to those, and you had to go.
Oh,
and
you didn't want to go.
You didn't want to be any of that, and you had to go. And and you were different at home, and then you were different at work, and you know what I mean. I remember I used to be so different at home and at work. It was like we would separate off so many times to cater to so many different groups.
Yeah, and just driving ourselves crazy, trying to do this, do that, do this, be there, and just following all these traditions, when really, and just, ugh, no.
Yeah, but can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
This might go off something, but I'm curious. But when you were working in the corporate world, because I mean, I was last there maybe 2018.
That's about
was when I left.
how long too. 18. Yeah.
And but it's like, so we were both already going, just going through this ascension process, but I found, I don't know, I don't know if I exactly have that experience about being different at work and home. I don't know. I feel like I was already, I'm sure you were probably already sharing, right? Sharing some knowledge, and I mean, energetically we're already.
Yeah, that's probably for me. I started around 2013, completely started around 2013. My awakening started in 13. And then I kind of dabbled around there for a long time. I did a lot of dream courses and Reiki. I went that route. And then I started probably didn't really get into my ascension, if I'm really honest with myself, till probably late 15, 16. And I found Lisa, I think, in 16. And that's, for me, once I got there, and then it was kind of from there. So that's been like, 8 years? So I lasted in the corporate world for a while, but I think it got better where I didn't feel as separated off. I know in my human consciousness, it was very different. At the time, I was married back in like the early 2000s. And when I remember working then, I was very different at work than at home. I found that what happened with me with work was, one, I never had to be there. I had this job that I set up for myself where I literally started this job in 2014. And by the time the job eventually faded out, because I'd really never had anything to do, she would just tell me to go home, and she'd call me if she needed me. I was on the payroll for years. I never went into the office and didn't have anything to do. I would go in, they'd be like, "Do you still work here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You get paid?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Benefits?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know." I was there for years. It was hysterical after a while. I was like, but it was funny because at the time I was miserable. Oh, I want the next reality. I want to go into the next thing. I don't want to stay here. And I'm like, dude, I was making so much money to literally nothing. So funny.
I literally had the opposite reality where I was working in customer service in like a huge open office space, answering phones and emails.
Yeah.
And being a really sensitive person. And it ended up like, they ended up just like doing restructuring and things. Like I just ended up having more and more and more work and less support. And it was like, it ended up just being like hell going there every day for the last several months.
I got less and less work. And the funny thing was, when they asked me to do something, I would get pissed. Because I had this whole day planned. And I'm sorry, this one thing I was going to do all week. And it would make me so mad. Even though I was in my early days of Ascension, I was still very self-centered. I'm so pissed. I got to do this one thing. And I was making over 6 figures to do zip.
No.
Years.
No, and I was on like a customer service wage. It was not a lot, and I was working. But isn't that interesting though? These different
funny
apps you and I have, because and I just like my nervous system was so fried all the time. I didn't even. I didn't even, and I took like when I left the job, I took like 8 months off. I was still living in LA, and I just couldn't really. I had all this, the training and the, energy medicine and all sorts of these different modalities, but I just couldn't get myself, to this space where I was, I was just struggling so much. So that's when it ended up worked out to like move back here. Yeah. Because I think my reserves were just so depleted. My light was so depleted. So.
It's hard after a while when you reach a certain point, to stay in the realities when you know they're all bullshit and they don't matter. You know what I mean? I was doing finance work. That's what I used to do. And it's so dumb. You know, and it's so stupid and it's so fake and it doesn't matter and you don't care. So how can you go in and really be serious about it when it was so ridiculous?
Yeah.
And that's where I got with it. So jump in here, Collette. I don't.
Yeah.
Jump in here.
Stuff like that, it's just draining your energy. It's just literally sucking the life out of you. Not because you.
I was doing zero work and it was sucking the life out of me.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing.
That's so funny.
Running around trying
Here I'm sitting here with like bazillions of emails and I'm trying to keep up.
Nothing. If I got one email a week, it was like a big thing, and I get pissed about it because I was going to go for a walk.
If I had known you guys and I'd heard this, I would have been like, go away.
Oh my God. It was so funny. I was sure going in and they'd be like, "You're still working?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been working here for 3 years. What are you talking about?" She was telling me to go home. She said, "Go home. I'll call you if I need you." I'm like, "You just want me to go home and not come back in ever?" Okay. All right.
I get like a $50 a year raise or something.
Now, I will say, even though a couple years I got bonuses, which was hysterical, I never got raises, which after a while I was like, "Why am I not getting a raise?" And well, technically, I don't actually really do anything. There's literally no work. So I guess that's why. And I was working on one project, and that project got dragged out, and everything could happen that project did. But I see now it was to keep me supported with that money, to keep me, even though I was still wasting money. I was not even in the frame of mind to not waste money at that point, you know?
Yeah.
And that bit me in the butt big time later. When they eventually, I think it took 4 years, they eventually ripped the job, and we had it was a really fun goodbye, and, you know, a good going away party. I mean, it was fun. And, it was just funny to watch. I mean, I'll tell you just a quick story. I remember when I knew that I had to get out of there, even though I was there 1 day a week or whatever. There was a guy a young man passed away. He's the desk right next to mine. When I was there, his desk was right next to mine. He had passed away. He had like a seizure. And no one from the office came. It was just like me and somebody else, because I was starting really into my ascension at that point, you know, so I feel like I really need to go and support. And even though I didn't know him that well, and it just seemed like life went on at the company. No one seemed to really care that he had passed. And then maybe a couple of days later, this man came in from across it was across the way. And he was at his, with the printer, and he was saying how it was so sad about, it had been a mass shooting somewhere, and I don't even remember where, maybe Florida. And he was like, "It's so sad about all those people in Florida, and I'm so upset. I didn't know anybody in Florida, but I'm so upset about it." And I'm like, "Dude, a dude just died 2 feet from your desk, and it didn't impact at all. But this other thing really did." And it was just kind of showed me that it was almost like that's why humanity needed those bigger things, for one, because it impacted them, right? Like it kind of, for whatever reason, it got to them when this person next to you had just passed and you act like nothing happened. But it was kind of the tone of the place too. But it was just, it kind of showed me a lot that there was really no connection with people around you, you know, and the human consciousness, there's just no, but you know, there's an empathy for people you don't know because it's a bigger thing or a mass thing that's happened, even though I don't know if it was, you know, thousands of people, but hundreds of people. But there was no connection like a person that literally you talk to every week. And it was just nothing there. And it just gets you to see how, even if it was 1 email a week for me, or for you, Brita, it was, 100,000 emails a week. You just can see you can't do it. You can't sustain a consciousness and stay in that environment when everyone else is spinning a different direction, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, but it was this, because I had been, ever since like my mid-20s, or really like most of my life, I was really in and out of a lot of jobs. I mean, I worked in the movie business, which was, projects and then being off work and projects. And then I would go through like these really long periods. and I would go and, get into some, some depression and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just other jobs I worked. So it was like this pattern for me. It was finally at this job. It was 5 years. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I wasn't going back and being dependent on anybody else. Like I would, go back to my parents or, unemployment or things like that. And it was like, I had this belief system where it was like, I can't leave if I'm not making money, then even, so it's this whole thing with, worth and this backbreaking type, like I feel like that's also a ancestry thing. Like you got to work really hard, even if you're not happy. And that kind of, there's some sort of that going on in my lineage, I think too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it was, I did all kinds, retail and everything. But when I first started waking up, I was really coming from a place of lack, but I didn't realize it at the time. And so I was running around wanting to save everybody. Like even like the job I got, I would go into people's houses and, care for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally got burnt out doing that because I just had to go over, above, and beyond to prove to myself that I was worthy. So, I really got burned out. And then I started waking up and I did the same thing. I went through the Reiki and I wanted to experience energy. That's why I did the Reiki course. And then little by little, I started going inside and working on myself. I was like, what am I doing? Like, and so.
Yeah. I know with the money, it was weird when you get plunked out of realities where you make money and support yourself. And then you're in realities where you're not allowed really to have that much money because I would just have spent it on shit because I didn't understand how to build anything yet. So I wouldn't do anything with it that made any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would build the same thing from a slightly higher consciousness, but it would still be building stuff that I am still looking for acceptance to have, because the human consciousness is so into what you have. And if you're not bringing money to the table, you're not bringing anything. There's no value of the presence in human consciousness, so it takes a while to break through that programming to where, and we're kind of forced to break through it because you're not given money to bring to a reality. You have to figure out something else to bring. It's like you're going to a potluck and you got to bring something that most people there aren't going to value, but that you have to value yourself enough to still bring that and show the worth of that. And it's a lot to break through being in a reality, multiple realities for years on end, and not bringing money to the table to support it, and bringing other things like giving support, helping people, caring for people, being that kind of, there's a lot of shows that have been on lately, the last couple of years, I guess, where they talk about there's these, a lot of the comic books do it, they're the kind of these linchpins in the reality. And as soon as these people were removed from the reality collapses. And for a lot of us, I think we kind of feel like we're kind of in those realities and we're kind of the linchpin of the reality. And if they leave, or we leave, or even other people we can look at in certain realities and say, no, they were the linchpin of that one. The minute they left, it collapsed because there was no purpose for it anymore, or however you want to go with it. But that's a big one. And understanding that money, we have to have it in ascended reality because there's still a money system, and that's how that is until that shifts. But that it doesn't matter, and there's no value. That's not how you value a person.
Right. I wasn't making any money doing what I was doing, and I was burnt out.
Yeah.
It wasn't valued,
Meaning you didn't make a lot?
No.
Or you were volunteering?
Yeah. No, I was getting paid, but pay was not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the same for. I excelled and did such a good job at that. At that company, and yeah, it was like, so, but also showed my, my LAC programs I'm still working through too. So
that's why I had to do that. I had to work through that. And that's what I was doing, even though I didn't realize that's what I was doing, at the time. But yeah, so it's all perfect, It's all brings us to where we are now. And we could see more now. I would never do that now, even though I probably helped a lot of people at the time.
yeah.
But like I said, I was coming from a place of separation.
Mhm.
I just wanted to feel worthy.
Yeah.
So
it's
the, go ahead,
I was
Brita.
just going to say, it's such a, this is just, I know Collette and I have had these conversations before. It's such a fine line too sometimes with the where you're assisting and where it's, I don't want to say people pleasing necessarily, but maybe I think one of my things could be doing too much.
Yeah.
Not like enabling, maybe not like letting people maybe figure things out, or yeah. So, but when you're assisting, like with caring for, older people, I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes I maybe can go into, yeah. I don't know if I want to say doing too much. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I know it's happened to me because I also, I'm helping with my parents now also, right, at where they are. And it's almost like sometimes for me, I felt like I would go into the trope of doing too much in a sense because you wanted it to be valued.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of would go overboard, even through my, during the different parts of Ascension. It's that fine line between, it's a deeper part of the LAC program. I think we're still working through it. It's a deeper part of it,
Yeah.
But it's a flip of it where I really want you to value what I'm doing. So let me keep doing it so you see the value in it. When in a way, a human consciousness is never going to see the value in it.
Right.
It's not, there's just no value there for them because they're still in a consciousness where, we were all at that at one point too. We didn't value it either. I mean, I could look back 15, 20 years and I would have been the same way.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's like sometimes you just keep doing more and more, but you still realize it's not moving the needle. It's still not really appreciated. People just take more and more.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to sit there and do all this, I'm just going to continue to do it because it's, it's that human mentality. It's just, the human consciousness is such a, it'll just keep taking whatever you'll give it. It'll just keep sucking you dry.
Yeah.
And it's just that flip where you start to realize that. And I've had to a lot of relationships, even with blood family, the last couple years when I've been resolving a lot of my ancestral karma type of stuff. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it because I worked through so much in such a short period of time where in my human consciousness, it would have taken decades, to work through it because you would go home and maybe see blood family once a year or twice a year and everything gets, all these realities get dragged out and these timelines get dragged out. It takes so long to work through anything. But if you just go and immerse yourselves in it, in a sense, you kind of have to deal with it. Because your universe, to me, my universe is saying, you don't have time to drag this shit on anymore. You got to work through it and go, because your next reality, you can't carry this with you. It's hampering your vibration. You have to deal with this and go. But I think I pull back on a lot of stuff because you realize it's not really valued, but it's not really a fault of theirs. They just can't value it yet.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I just always remember Lisa saying, Lisa Transcendence Brown, for anybody listening, about just, like everybody's really taken care of in her reality, so I always, always feel like, what else can I do? But yes, there's, I think there's also things that I could do less of. Excuse me, 1 second.
Yep. I think it's, um, what can you do less of? And is it, I don't know if you find this, Collette, it's just after a while you get to so many relationships where no matter what you have done over the years, you see the mood, it's just not changing. It's not shifting. It's not, you can try to shift it for a while. You can lay back for a while and say, let me see if it aligns on its own, and it doesn't really align. And then you might say, okay, let me see if I can align it like this. Or it's like you're just working with like puzzle pieces and you keep taking them apart and putting them back in and go, let me just walk away from the puzzle. Maybe it'll just work on its own. And you keep going back and you're like, it's not aligning. And no matter if I try to actively do it, if I step away from it and see if it does it on its own, it's just not doing anything. Why put any more energy into putting this puzzle together, or just walk away from the whole thing? And I think a lot of stuff, even if to tie back into, the whole blood family, it doesn't have to be. I feel that's a big one for a lot of people. Just trying to figure out, can it ever really align, or is that more relationships I had in my human consciousness? And because everyone's still in that human consciousness, you can assist as much as you feel necessary. And only you're going to know that when you're at that point. Do you walk away? And when do you know it's time to go?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm giving it to you to do. Good luck.
I don't know. I also feel sometimes we don't want it. We don't want to see it. We just kind of like, maybe it will work itself out. Let me not focus on it. But I find when we do that, that's when you get that good old slap in the face. Yeah, that is a good one. When to walk away. Oh, I don't know, Brita.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, it's just been because since I lived in Los Angeles for a long time with near a lot of my siblings, then when I see how things have shifted since I'm not seeing them,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not seeing them as much. And, it's also obviously also my nieces and nephew, they're all, growing up and going to college and graduated from college and doing their whole lives and stuff like that too. And yeah, I don't know. It's a lot too, especially when you have a big family,
Yeah.
Big family and lots of, 5 nieces and nephew and 3 siblings. So,
sometimes it's surprising when you don't see somebody for a long time and then they come back around.
Yeah.
And you could see they're on, they're waking up now. They're, well, we all are.
Yeah.
But
smaller, I always say human smaller increments. Like we move up very small increments where we're still kind of in this similar, it's like it's either like we're going to reboot the same timeline with a couple different people, but it's the same story, or we're going to, it's going to be a sequel where we get the same people back again and we're going to just do the same thing again. But yeah, you see it. And some people surprisingly never come back. Well, I say never. I mean, you never know. But you just never see them. Or you thought you'd see them a lot sooner, I guess.
Yeah.
You thought you'd see them a lot sooner.
Like you're separating and then you're coming back and then you're like, no, not yet. And then they come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, it may just completely end. But I feel like this is dance that goes on,
Mm-hmm.
now. And you could see the different, levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I feel like
interesting.
it's been fun, or I don't know about the word fun, but interesting, kind of cool seeing some friends in my old life that may text every couple times a year or message or whatever, just like seeing them, they're just sharing a lot about current events, just speaking up,
Yeah.
it's really cool seeing it, you know. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, they're moving
Mhm.
along.
I love that.
Yeah, so I like cheer them on the, you know.
Yeah.
And I think someone had sent me, or one of them had sent me like a, you know, I think like sign this petition for this and this and this, and I'm like, you know, I wasn't interested in doing that, but I was like, well, that's great. She's speaking out, and you know, it doesn't really matter which way it is, you know.
Yeah.
She's using her voice, so
Mhm.
yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once you get to you always have more clarity when you look back down on the timelines and you can see why, yeah, I see why that one had to go that way and that one went that way
Mm-hmm.
and why that wasn't going to work. No matter how many times you try to set it, that puzzle and work it out, it's like that one was never gonna, it was like I was missing a piece or something. It was never going to come together. Because I think one of the pieces we're missing is we don't really understand what our role is supposed to be. Sometimes when we're right in it, like when we're right in it, we're seeing such a facet of it. We still have attachment to it. We still have a lot of emotion around it. And we don't really see the role we were supposed to play. And maybe in a way, I can look back in my human consciousness and think, oh my God, I was so mean, I was a villain, and I was a villain there. I can't believe I was that mean. Oh my gosh, I was so mean in some things. And then, you go through different stages of ascension, and you can look back on different roles, even during your ascension process, and I see that my role there was not, I think what I'm realizing is my role is really what it has been. And I know they're always shifting. And to me, every linear year marks a new thing, even though we start to me getting the information around August, what we'll be doing, we might not have boots on the ground until like spring of the next year, where we actually start implementing, getting the masculine energy into divine masculine to actually do it. We just kind of get the consciousness going for a couple of years prior to really integrate it in and hold it. But you see a lot of the roles that you've done, and a lot of them were just really to support them in that one phase they were in that one moment when maybe there was a little awakening, but knowing they were probably going to go back to sleep. Like, I know I did that too. I started waking up probably a little bit in the early 2000s, but then went back to sleep and didn't go for like another decade, in a sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to speak to that a little bit on, getting more clarity on that. Because I think a lot of people, one question I'll get a lot is like, when do you kind of know? Well, the first one I always get, what's my soul purpose? That's like the biggest one everybody has. What's my soul purpose, or is my energy bad? That was another one. Is something wrong with me? And that one, like, when do you know? When do you know? You stick or twist? When do you know that my role's done here? And when do you realize, no, I could probably do, like you said earlier, Collette, I can do more. And I think, Brita, you touched on it too. Maybe there's more I can do. When do you kind of know? Like, what's your sign for each of you? I'll let each of you kind of tackle it in your own way. When that's it. Like, my role is this, and now it's done. It's not me. I'm not moving the needle anymore. Nothing I'm doing is really pivoting anything. And now I'm just staying more for me, and I'm not staying for them anymore. So
yeah, for me, it's I can feel the energy drain. I'm giving and giving and giving, and it's just all being sucked out of me. But there's nothing, there's no reciprocation, and so for me, it's all about that. And I will stay there until I'll give it all I've got.
Yeah.
I was like, I was born under the sign of Taurus, man. We will stick into some shit till it is buried and dead, and we're still there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Taurus rising.
So
I'm rising.
Fix you.
So I get it.
But yeah, for me, it's like, there's nothing left. There's nothing left to give, and it's almost like, the universe is like, what are you doing? Come on, girl. Move on.
Do you see the reality collapse at all? Do you start to see the reality start to dissolve? A little hint you get?
Yeah, I do. It's, for me, it's more of, I'm just done. I've got nothing left to give. you're not, that's for me, it's just done.
Okay, Britta, you go ahead.
Oh, no, it was just making me think about that job too, because it was like, it was the same, it was just like, it was not, it was so depleting. And so, but I knew that they weren't going to let me go. Like I knew I was going to have to leave.
Wow.
And I think that I was just really scared to do it. And,
Yeah.
and I did it, and I didn't know, I felt so liberated when I did it. I didn't know, what I was going to do and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was such a sense of freedom when I left. And yeah, I mean, because it's like, where do we learn? Gosh, where do we learn that we have to suffer like that?
Yeah.
And I love that you said that sense of freedom, because that feeling is like, that that's it now. You freed yourself from that,
And you won't have to, I always would say, like for me, people would get meaner in the reality. Like if I used to go to bars a lot and talk to people. And it would be always funny. I would just sit down and I'd always know when I had to go. I always knew where I had to go, and I would just wait for whoever I was supposed to talk to. And I would be, if it was there for more than an hour, I'd be like, "Oh, come on, universe, I'm tired. Bring them on. Who is it?" Someone would sit down and they'd be writing a book and have writer's block, or someone just died, or it was whatever. But it would always be somebody who would come and sit, and we would chat a bit.
Yeah.
And then that was the interaction, and then that was it. But some places I started to go, I realized when it was time and that role was over, it's just people weren't as nice anymore. You go in an establishment and all of a sudden, we don't have tables. I'm like, there's literally 18 tables here. We don't have any tables. I'm like, okay. It was just, they were pushing you out, and you could feel them pushing you out, but we're just kind of keep grabbing on with our fingers because you get so ingrained in that reality and the role there, you don't want to go on, and you do get attached to it, and you get attached to some of the people there, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go on to the next one. But even though a lot of it wasn't glorious, and I always say everything looks better when it's walking away. That's just how life is. Everything looks better when it's exiting. And when these realities start exiting, we look back and we remember how, they were so amazing. And I'm like, that was awful. When I was in it, it wasn't all that. But now that it's over, because I don't know the next one and all the fear comes in about the next one, we glamorize it to be like, we Disney-fy it up to give it all this glitter and how great it was. And none of them, even my ascended ones I've been in, they still had a lot of challenges because I was working through programming in them. Just because you get into a more soul-aligned reality or ascended realities, there's still this misconception that, oh my God, they're all so glorious. When you get there, there are parts of them, but because we're still working with that deeper parts of programming, they're all not this amazing thing, And I think that is a misconception, that you get to one spot and it's all just because we're still the person in the spot that's got so much still to work through.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that or go on. I know we have because they're really strict on this hour here, so I don't want to get stuck like we did last time where we just got cut down and all.
Learned it.
If anyone has any questions, we're always open for questions on here. We just usually chat amongst ourselves for a while just to kind of get stuff out in case people don't have questions. But if anyone has questions, you can just pop them in and we'll do our best to answer them. But I guess I'll let both of y'all go ahead.
Because you mentioned working through programs. And so lately I've been seeing, actually Lisa brought it up on one of the calls about, and totally me, when we're working through a program, right? And then beating yourself up for going through the program. She said, who does that? When she said that, it's like, oh man, it was like a light came on, Here we are working through a program and then beating ourselves up for it's so funny when you see it, you know, see that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I know. Or like I was so like I was really good with that certain scenario where I wouldn't get triggered, and then all of a sudden I got triggered again. And it's just like, how I, kind of like, I mean, like look at all the progress we have made. It's almost like we could discount,
Yeah, I love that, Brita. Yeah, because I got triggered too. But I've noticed that I can shift much more quickly now, whereas I don't stay in it the way I used to. I've noticed I can really shift out of it and like not get knocked off, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been good. Yeah.
You
Do you?
definitely, I noticed, I know one of the ones for me I've noticed, especially, I know we talked in the very beginning with, we're all doing a class Lisa's teaching. So I'm doing that, listening to that. And then the monthly calls come, and it's like every weekend there's something. And it has really, like this past week, I haven't even finished listening to the call. Every time I try to listen to it, something's going on. I try to listen on the walk, and then someone was talking to me, a neighbor was talking to me on the walk. And I finally had to take a step back and say, maybe I just need to wait a minute to process the next thing. But the program is, I want to keep going. I don't want to miss it. I want to get through this 6 hours, because we got another 6 hours coming, and I still got Marissa's Collette too. And I got to listen to that. And then now I got to finish this. And then I got to do this one. And then it's just like, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't know if anyone else has felt that, but I'm like, oh my God, like it's so much. And it's stuff that I'm volunteering to do. I mean, the class we paid to do, and I'm just like, so much pressure on myself to take it all in, integrate it, take it all in. And it's just really been a lot. And I know the program I've seen, it's just like, I don't want to just take a break. And it's just like, give it a few days, or it'll still be there. It'll still be there in a week. You can catch up on all of it. Yeah. Then you feel like you let people down when you don't go on the call, and your energy's not there to participate, and that type of stuff. So I don't know if you guys ever feel that way, or it's just me.
Yeah. Sometimes take a step back, and just, just take a step back. I feel like it's just catapulted me, though. I have to say.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's catapulted me to a whole new level, a whole new, so I'm like loving it.
It's catapulted me deeper in to really see a lot of stuff that's not.
Yeah.
I thought everything was kind of aligned, and then as our frequency shifting with all this stuff, I noticed, I'm like, well, this stuff isn't. Mm-hmm. You start to understand different dominoes got to fall in a sense, because it's like, it's just this can't hold. You start to see the reality start to dissolve. Energetic.
Yeah.
You start to see, even if it's still there, you're starting to see it kind of pull apart a bit. You're starting to see the kind of the dam breaking a little bit, and knowing that it has to close out, because there are other things we need to go do, and you can't do them with all this stuff still in place or in this current role you're in.
Yeah. 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 The old has to fall away for the new to come forth. Right? Yeah, that's the way I feel right now. I feel like the old is like my ways of doing things, the old ways, shift, change constantly. Even little things like the routine, change it up, and it's amazing.
That's why it's like, it's so good that we do this call.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I got to get my butt up early.
Yeah.
To do this, and my human does not like it one bit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yay!
Even that.
Did it.
Yeah, getting up 1 hour early, it just makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
All these things, all these little things that we can do, to dissolve.
Yeah, it takes so much time for me to get ready to do stuff, and I gotta get up at like 6 to be on a call at 11.
Oh.
I mean, 11.
Yeah.
Because all the things I like to do to kind of anchor in a little bit in the morning, and all this, and then, you know, different things I need to do for the house and, you know, just stuff like that. You feel sometimes like there's just a lot, you know, to do to get everything set up where you can, you know, come on and, you know, kind of be there as much as we can for each other and for the collectives. And, so we're getting toward the time.
Well,
so
thanks,
I'm gonna let each of you just say whatever you want to say to close out, because this will probably be, I mean, unless you guys want to try to get together again, you know, later, more closer to the holidays. Like I said, I don't participate in any of that stuff, so I'm good. Maybe get Leopold on, because we had a little snafu with the timing, and I need to be clearer on that. And I saw it, I was like, oh no, I was not clear. Because I think I saw the email. I saw he sent an email like 5:30, and I'm like, 5:30? What were we doing at 5:30 a.m.? I was like, shit, I should have clarified that, and I did not. So I'll make sure next time I'm clear on that. Because for anyone who's not listening, Leopold does listen to us, and he does participate with us. He's part of our little group here, and he is Netherlands.
Yeah.
Is it the Netherlands?
He's in Sweden.
Sweden. Why I always try to put him in the Netherlands. So a bit of a time gap there. So I'll let you two ladies close out. We probably got about 5 minutes. So I don't know if you want to go first, Brita, and then Collette, and then we will just sign off. And I thank you ladies for participating in case I don't have a chance to say that and we get cut. So go ahead.
No, I'll just say thank you for hosting these calls, Annette. And it's been so supportive, and just to have this container to start or to just speak and share more. It's really appreciate you doing this. So, and it's like we've been talking about, like, it's like doing all these little things we can do to do the opposite of what our human wants to do. I mean, I'd rather not be talking, but it's getting easier. It's getting easier.
I told you
to talk and
get
share
easier.
and support. So but anybody that needs any support, please reach out. Our information will be in Annette will provide our information. So thank you.
Yes.
And I think just their tags are there too. So go ahead, Collette.
I've made a goal this year. I'm going to do a website. So, but I just want to say, Annette, thank you so much for doing this, because you really are helping me push through programs of not being seen and all that, So I love it. I love doing this.
That's fine, I know.
And having conversations from the heart. I love it. Yeah.
All right. I'll probably stick to Instagram Lives, ladies, and just because it's easy, and I know you guys both have followings on Instagram for now. I would like to move some to YouTube too, but I got to work out. I got to do some tech over there, and I haven't had the energy to really look too much. I mean, I went and looked at it, and then the interface I was supposed to see was not what I saw when I went on mine, and I'm like, well, mine doesn't look like that. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to table that for that.
Yeah.
Just stick to Instagram Lives for the next few months, and then we will just go from there. So I appreciate you ladies. Thank you so much. Kisses, kisses, kisses. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. And I will see everyone. We'll see everyone next month. We'll all be back next month, maybe even sooner. We'll see how the schedules work. All right.
Good. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.